then what the compensating rate would generate you, rounded down, 1/10 of 1 cent. And that's where you get that 0.254 figure from. So that would generate you approximately 4% more revenue than what 0.245 would. And what the law is saying the compensating rate is.
But now the law does not state that we have to take the compensating rate.
You all have home rule.
Yeah.
All the law says is that our office for counties, we have to calculate compensating 4%, and we may provide technical assistance. And then outside of what the law says, it says, if you take a rate above compensating, you have to have an advertisement, you have to have a hearing. If you elect a rate above 4%, you don't like to do that, but if the citizens were to file a petition, it can be put on the ballot to remove anything above that 4%, essentially. The taxing district has the right to take whatever rate they want to, as long as they follow what the law says you have to do, as it compares to compensating at 4%. So, even though we are saying, according to the calculation of the way the law reads, your compensating rate is 0.245, you all could take a rate the same as last year at 0.242, you could take a rate at 0.10 if you wanted. You could take a rate above that compensating rate up to the 4% of 0.254, as long as you advertise and have your hearing. You could go above the 4% of 0.254 up to 2.6 or whatever the law allows you. What's your population here?
It's about 6,000.
So you're actually under the Constitution allowed a rate up to 75 cents.
Per 100 or 1,000? 75 cents.
Yes, 75 cents per 100.
Per 100.
So I mean, you could go up to that if you wanted to. Obviously, you have to. I'm sure the system is following.
No, we don't.
But I mean, this is just what the law says you have to do. The threshold essentially you have to meet in order to take rates. And with personal property is a maximum rate that comes from two things. It comes from how your assessments for personal property are changing, but what is also going on with real. You are allowed essentially a percentage increase in revenue on personal property that's equal to what's going on in real, is the best way to describe it in layman's terms. In order to know what the maximum personal property rate you can take is, you first have to determine the real rate you're going to take.
Say that again?
In order to know the maximum personal property you're actually allowed to take, you have to first determine the real rate you're going to choose.
Real property, real estate rate.
And that's essentially, in a real brief kind of summary, is the calculation of tax rates where you all are this year.
Is that what, you probably work all across the state, I'm sure. What are other cities and towns and counties doing? They're taking compensating rates or?
We typically, we don't really hear, I mean, we spend a lot of our time actually calculating rates. Like I said, with home rule, we have to calculate counties. So counties are required to report their rates to us during their budget time, because we also review their budgets. So we know what they do. We typically don't find out until about 6 months after they've already actually done it.
Yeah.
To tell you, you know what's really what the trend is. I mean, to be honest, the phone calls I've received, I've had a lot of districts taking 4% purely because they need the money. I've had some districts that are coming, they're taking a rate less than compensating rate because times are so tough, they want to give their citizens a tax break. So I can't really tell you how things are trending. All I can tell you is it's definitely on both sides of the aisle.
But we're, as far as you know, we're not doing anything out of the ordinary or out of the legal parameters of what the state law provides, correct?
All I can tell you is you're calculating the rates the way the law reads.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if we want to agree with how the law reads, again, that's up to
That goes back to the
the
legislature.
Right, that's a legislative issue.
I think you've done a pretty good job of explaining mud.
Yeah. I think that's,
Okay, any other question, Mr. Foley, please here? You have a question?
Yes, I have a question. There was three words left out when you were reading the KRS statute. I just printed off this copy tonight before it came in from the government website. KRS 132.010, paragraph 6. And the word that was left out was "and personal property." So let me, if I can, read the definition of compensating rate as I printed off. Is that correct? Is that? The compensating rate, it says compensating tax rate means the rate which rounded to the next higher 1/10 of 1 cent per $100 of assessed value and applied to the current year's assessment of the property subject to taxation by a taxing district, comma, excluding new property, and what you included, Matt, and personal property.
I apologize, that's a slip of the tongue, but
And
if
it
you
says
see in the first two
produces-
lines, there are no personal property included.
Okay. It says produces an amount of revenue approximately equal to that produced in the preceding year from real property. So I believe the intent of the General Assembly when they passed HB House Bill 44 in 1979 was not to weight the two together, the real property and the tangible personal property rate. I believe we'll see that legislation put enacted that clarifies that at some point. At this point in time, that is technically being referred to by other PBAs as a loophole in the law that is giving special wrongful privileges, let me might add, to certain special taxing districts. For instance, here in our hometown, our own community, we're seeing some of the special taxing districts of the library, the extension service, the fire and ambulance have budgets that have swelled to multiples of what I feel they should be. Now that's, either here or there, I guess, because the law we don't have an official judgment on how the true intent of the law. But what we're seeing happen, how special taxing districts are able to increase taxes when the assessment values are also increasing, which when assessment values, just look at it logically, when the amount of property of our community, what our worth of a community, when that increases, what should the rate do? Should the rate go up or should it go down? It should go down when when we become wealthier, the rate itself should decline, it should never increase. But what we've seen happen here in our community over the past 30 plus years is we've seen that rate historically get higher. And this isn't affecting, like I said, every special taxing district, but I do feel it's affecting the city and certainly the library, the extension service, the fire, and the EMS. I'm trying to do my part as a citizen to bring this to light. I've spoken with numerous legislators in Frankfurt. I've made several trips to Frankfurt, had some meetings there. Met with many of the council members here about this, met with our local PBA. There's a lady, I forget her last name, it's Boone County's PBA. She has taken it upon herself to produce a 40-plus page PowerPoint that actually breaks this down. And I've made that available on our website. We have a website created, and I believe the link was published in the Mount Strong Advocate this past issue. But on that website, you can go and you can actually see what the true intent of the law is and where the loophole lies. I think, looking at it, as we're in tough times right now, I mean, is it necessary for us to raise taxes on the working middle class? It's the landowners and business owners that are going to take the blunt of this. And, I just don't feel it's necessary. I mean, let's maybe look at saving some money and making some necessary cuts in our budget.
What, Mr. Powell?
This is just a couple things in response. As I said earlier, you all have home rule. What you all like to do for us is strictly up to you all. It's not the state's place to tell you what to do. Libraries are handled by the Department of Library and Archives. We do not work with libraries. We do not advise libraries. Same thing with schools. Schools are handled by the Department of Education. Extension districts are handled by the University of Kentucky Agricultural Extension Agency. So if ever you have any issues with those, there are other state agencies. Same thing with health districts that are handled by the Center for Health and Family Services. In regards to the loophole, as I mentioned earlier, it is what many have argued for, essentially for wording in the law. What I will say is, when the last two bills were filed, there was an Attorney General's opinion sought asking if how we were calculated and the other state agencies were calculating tax rates was correct. And the Attorney General's office did render opinion and said, yes, according to the wording of the law, we were calculating things correctly.
So until the legislature sorts it out, all we have to go by is what's been working in the past.
That is my belief.
If the legislature can't work it out.
And should the legislature changes something, obviously we will be having to change our calculations to adjust for that as well.
Right.
Okay, any more questions, Mr. Crowley?
Thank
Certainly
you.
appreciate you coming up tonight. You've really enlightened us on it, and I appreciate your expertise and letting us get a better picture of what we're doing here. And Robert, come back and see us anytime.
Yes, sir, thank you, appreciate it.
And I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you, sir. Councilman Tipton, item number 8.
Second reading of ordinance 6-2012, setting the 2012 property tax rate. So moved.
Okay, I have a second. Second by Judy.
Can I say, can we speak?
Sure.
Well, Mayor, you stated in these chambers just a few months ago, that our surplus was healthy and that we were in good financial status to pass our current budget with pay increases and other increases that it contained, that we were in good financial shape. So why would we burden our taxpayers with a higher rate? If we leave it alone, we're still going to go up a little bit because of the increase of real property. And I just feel that this is the time to leave it alone. And if, with what the information he gave us, in the last, we've gone from 21.7 down to 21.1, up to 21 cents, 21.4 cents. 21 point, and this is since the downturn in the economy. And things are better. They might be better, but we've gone from in 09, 21.6 to 23.1 to 24.2. And now this year we're at 25.4. I suggest we leave it at the same rate we had in 2011.
Just a few short months ago, we had a contractor come in here that had a big contract, City of Mount Sterling. They told us at that time that their fuel rates had gone up, their health insurance had gone up, and they didn't mention retirement, but we're gonna have to mention retirement. Like any good run business, and the city should be a good run business, we have to plan for the future. Now, if we're gonna try to break the city and then let's just go along here and hold on along. When we've cut our employee base, when we've cut jobs, when we've cut back, and we have cut every corner that we could cut.
No, I don't agree with you on that. That's
Well,
fine.
you never do, but, the thing about it is, here's 1996, it was 23.8, 1997 is 23.8, 1998 is 23.4. So the rate hasn't changed all that much until today. And that's not true, right here it is.
I'm looking at these current years right here. He gave us a list of them.
Yeah.
And all I'm looking at is from 07. I'm talking about, these are the years that hurt, that's right now that hurts. What happened in 96? Guess what? We were in good shape. Nobody was complaining about much. Everything was going up. And you stated that our surplus was healthy.
Yes.
And that we were in good financial status to pass a budget with all the increases. So why burden our taxpayers is my question.
Then, as the person that manages the city budget, as manager, am I going to turn around and say, let's break the city?
I didn't, you just said we're in good shape to pass the budget, so how can we be breaking it?
Barnes.
Aye.
Judy. McCormick.
No.
Pruitt.
No.
Tipton.
Aye.
Trimble.
No.
Tuttle.
No.
Wilson.
The chair votes aye. All right, the chief, fire chief was here and wanted, talked about selling the fire truck. What is your pleasure?
Get the most out of it we can, get down.
Everybody needs money though.
I think we just had some questions that we resolved.
Sell it.
I'm sorry.
Do I have a motion to that effect?
Yes.
Do I have a second? Got a second by Barnes. Discussion.
What was the motion? I haven't heard anything here.
To
Sell the truck.
Sell the fire.
And do what with the proceeds?
They're going to put it towards the new truck that's going to be coming to the city,
So we're gonna donate it to the fire?
towards purchase of a new truck that we tax. city, so we'll get something out of it.
Supposed to go in the firehouse, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
In our fire department.
In the fire house, yeah. Poll members, please.
Barnes.
Aye.
Judy.
Aye.
McCormick. Pruitt.
Aye.
Tipton.
Aye.
Trimble. Tuttle.
Aye.
Wilson.
All right, I'm gonna pass out, this is the, proposal with the, Ron Kitchens folks, and this is what we're proposing to do. There you have it, black and white.
What do they, do with Bob Salmon? Did they get in contact with him?
Ron, what y'all do with Bob Sandlin down there? Come on up, Ron.
Bob Salmon, that property that was right in behind the
We
church.
haven't talked to him. We haven't talked to him.
It's not gonna do any good for us to get that property to you if he doesn't let you go through it.
Get you all, go through property, put in a county line.
Right on top of the property. Not without an easement.
JD's the engineer, he knows. We didn't think it was Robert Sandlin's property.
Well, ours is, but I mean, you know, when we looked at it the other night,
I know that there was an old map that had some incorrect data on it.
okay.
Does Sandlin own any property that red line would go through?
I think he does, see, down in Athens. I can't find any record.
We don't have a problem.
I think
You better get, yeah, I mean, you better make sure you have that straightened out.
I think
before
we've
you-
got it all right, I think the county is them, but anyway, he doesn't own any that,
The pipes.
what they're at, what the, let me get over here a minute. I think I'll talk about that. I'm J.D. Williams, the city engineer. The Sandlin property, if he does own any down there, it's not in any way.
It's not gonna affect you.
Confused on this.
Okay.
What, this is something the city's gonna get, this is a good deal, we've been talking about our time here. The Extension Service is gonna build a new building down on East Locust Street on the south side, and there's a storm sewer that goes down through there, it's a 36-inch storm sewer. Been in for many, many years, and it's, the catch basin out in the street is not any bigger than this podium right here, that I'm leaning on here. And it's not able to handle the water that comes down through there and everything, and this water is washing across their land where they're gonna build a new building. So the Extension Service has agreed to do a little orchestration with the city here. They build a new storm sewer, they build a new catch basin down there, they build a new sidewalk from the existing concrete sidewalk on the north side of the old Monarch building down there over to where the Extension Service, their present building is, with some curb and gutter and everything, kind of control the water in there, get it all into this big new catch basin that we hope to put in without a 6-foot road opening on it, so it handle all the water. Don't have any water going across their property anymore. Plus, we're gonna build another catch basin down there that's just one that's got that old metal grating on it. I know some of you been down there. And extend the piping down to Easton Creek.
They are gonna extend the pipe, okay.
And the piping down
That's-
Easton Creek.
So we'll go ahead and cover that in then.
And that'll help the flooding down towards the end of this.
See approximately 500 feet of pipe. Pretty good sized project.
Will that increase the,
We worked up some
Anyway,
sketches there, and you kind of get an idea.
will that increase the flow of water into Hickston Creek?
Think, pardon?
Will that increase the flow of water into Hickston Creek?
Oh, I don't think, they're gonna, it's all pretty much, their roof area and their paved area for parking around their new building might increase it slightly, but I don't think that it would be a bridge concern. because.
The water ends up going
you know,
down there anyway.
It's all gravel down there now, and the water, a lot of it runs off anyway. And especially there, we would control it, the biggest plus I see is the control the runoff that's on Locust Street. See now, when it rains real hard, with this little catch basin there, it just jumps over, they can't handle it, so it just jumps over the curb, flows down across their property. Well, in fact, it washes it out, you can see washes down there.
Does any of it, JD, does it go on down Locust and cause more of a problem on down with this? Could this catch basin, a new one in this line, could it help past the church? I mean, or is that not gonna,
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that.
it won't?
The
Okay.
low spot, you realize that where those two catch basins are, all the water that drains from the old hospital comes all the way down through town and goes right down through this same pipe we're talking about in place.
Okay, okay.
So it's something that should have been done a long time ago, as I've said many, many times, in the 40 years I've stood up here over, well, none of you all are on the council. In fact, nobody here. But the one thing that Mount Sterling's always had is a really good first-class potable water system, a really good sewer system. But they didn't spend any money ever on any storm sewers here in town. And we've had a really poor situation for years. It's just been a hodgepodge across this yard and that yard. And so we got to change here to rectify a bad situation here. Now, in return for this, the city would, as you can see on the drawing, the city would create liable to approximately 3/10 of an acre of property there that was for the old freight station. It's a trying to take a piece of land and would give them access out to South Mason Street from the.
They'll just have an easement through there then, they'll have access.
Any questions?
Basically what they want this property right here so they can
What are we,
do that, is that correct? Where the
Well,
red line is?
What is it?
They don't need the property, they're trying to piece to put in the storm sewer pipe, no, they increase the pipe of storm sewer.
oh, they want the triangular piece too? I don't even understand if this is what they want. I'm lost.
Well, it's been unusual for us.
Did you all know? No, it doesn't tell us what they want because I'm not for this at all. Yeah, I know what this
Well,
is.
you're not part of this,
I'm not for giving this away. No, I'm for doing this. But what do they need here is what we were
Well, the
asking.
reason they got the new buildings going in here, and they wanted it a reasonable proximity to this, and this storm sewer is in the way right through here.
Yeah, I went down there, but so what they really need is this piece right here.
No, they already own that, they don't need that.
They own all this back here.
No, that's fine, they own all
It says
that.
Montgomery County here.
Well-
Like over here in the,
That's Montgomery County there, yes, but that won't be a problem to get an easement through that on that. You've got an easement by prescription in there anyway, because basically when you get down to here, you can see the old pipe is right there, so they're pretty much in the same.
what do we want, what do they need the third of an acre for?
So we can have access from the building, which is gonna sit back in here, and come out to the street.
They've already got an easement. It's already an easement, isn't there? There's already an easement through there for this property.
Well, there's an easement.
Yeah, so they have access, and I don't want to give away a third of an acre. I don't mind if they need parking, giving it to them, leasing it to them cheap, but I do not really want to give away a third of an acre, because what if something happens, and I know this is a big dream, but the railroad, the old depot down there, something happens, and all of a sudden it becomes a hot spot, a restaurant, and then it grows from there, and something else good happens in that whole area. Well, this is a nice little third of an acre, if that happened. Might not happen in our life, but I don't see giving away a third of it, or 305 thousandths of an acre. I don't see giving that away. But I don't, anything else to help them do this other, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I thought there was an issue about back
Yeah, there
here.
was an issue earlier
That
about
night when we
that.
were out there walking
Yeah, I
around,
thought
I
that-
thought that was the problem,
I
that
thought
there
the
was an
problem was
issue back
we had
in
some
here.
of this here.
They do. What it read is, we got the property there too.
Yeah.
Gets space.
I thought that's what it was all about.
There's no perfect gutter.
But I thought there was property back here. Wasn't there, when we walked back there, Ron, wasn't that the deal, that there was property back there that you all needed, that it made this odd shaped?
We had thought, oh, an odd shape? No, it's not an odd shape. We first talked about that little green strip where there's a couple of phosphorus streets and all of that. To run this drain line through. That was the first issue. Then when the architect set the building on there, is to maximize the space on the west side of that lot. That building needs to set closer to where our existing office is. But that puts us in violation, I think, of the zoning code that tells you what your setback has to be. And the alternative that the extension board has is to move that building, which then again affects the usable space, to move it closer to Locust Street or to cut 9 feet off of it is the way I saw it. So, yeah, that was an issue early on. And then as we talked about it, the board said, well, if we could get that property from the city, it increases parking, it allows the board to pave that area and maintain it, whereas if it's your all's property, may not care if it's paved or maintained or not. So they said, well, let's see if they would trade that for making improvements to the storm sewer. Yes, we're gonna have to do some storm sewer changes, but it will not be probably what you all need, as JD has pointed out, in the long run. So that therein is the dilemma, and it's not a giveaway. It's we're trading it for a new storm drain and sewer, or a storm sewer down there, in return for that property. I don't know that the extension board would say, I can't speak for them, but I kind of got a feel for what they're thinking, I believe. They're probably not gonna say, we're not gonna put in that new storm drain free for us.
Well, this isn't what we discussed down there that night.
I thought-
This isn't at all what we discussed, so that's why I'm lost. This isn't at all what we
I
discussed.
thought we discussed when we were down there, the city had some piece of property
Yeah.
that this new storm line would have to come through.
That's a little grace area that I talked about, John, that years ago. And that little grassy area was talked about by the architect, and then, prior to that meeting. He said, I'd really like to see y'all get title to that, so we can leave this building sitting where it is. When he put it on the plat, it's right up, I think it's within 3 feet of your property line. But that's not enough setback. Now, whether or not we can get around that regulation, I don't know.
I'm sure you can get a variance.
Well, have you discussed with planning and zoning about getting a variance
It's
for
not
that?
planning and zoning, it's board of adjustment.
Board of adjustments. Which recommends planning and zoning.
Then the
No,
board,
they make the decision.
the board was talking about, well, we're gonna be at a lot of expense, and that land where the easement is would be a great asset to us for additional parking and, access at any time, which I guess we've got anyhow, but they said they would pave it and maintain it, as an outlet for people that would be utilizing. the-
So you just need that, you just need that for parking or in and out, you don't need it to build on any of it. This,
No.
What if we rented it to,
Not to my knowledge.
Or lease it to
Nothing
them.
was ever.
lease it to
Long-term
them,
lease.
lease it to them on a, long-term lease or
Long-term lease for
something? Because you all would have an option to roll it over if we're not doing anything else with it, you know?
I discussed the other day when I took the mayor down there, the possibility, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, because I can't speak for the extension service, but the mayor and I discussed the possibility of a long-term lease on this property where the city kept title to it, but
So we just,
did a long-term lease on it for $1.
for $1 for a long-term lease with the option to renew.
And they use it for just parking, not building, right?
Well, if we put it 99 years, there won't be nobody that's on this council.
I think we could cut it down to 25 years with an automatic renewal for them. Let's not tie it up like they own
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I don't like 99 years.
That would be up, to the decision board whether they would do that.
Normally, I get excited when they say Higgins Creek Drain